Is your job starting to drive you crazy? Well, Stephanie Coradin is here to save the day. Today, we have Stephanie Coradin, founder and CEO of Dimple Inc. Stephanie is here to give us some tips and tricks on keeping your peace of mind at work when it comes to employee mental health. All this and more on this episode of The Hotel Insider. This episode is brought to you by Hotel Guest Management, the revenue management and hotel management company for boutique hotels. 95% of revenue managers are doing this wrong and they don't even know it. Revenue management is more than just looking at reports and setting rates. What's the point of setting a rate just to put it on an OTA website to compete with a bunch of other hotels? The purpose of using an OTA is to give them the leftovers, not the main course, which is why your hotel needs revenue management marketing. With revenue management marketing, you'll be able to beat the OTAs to the punch by providing your hotel's rates right at your customer's door on all their favorite platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Google, Instagram, and TikTok. It works so well, the OTAs are starting to use the strategy. You'll see it time and time again all over social media. There's only one problem: they can't do it better than us. See if revenue management is something that can benefit your hotel. Click the link below and book your discovery appointment. Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, and today we're going to be focused on hotel employee mental health and what to do to keeping these hotels from driving you crazy. All right. And of course, you know who I have with me, Stephanie. What's going on, girl?
Hi, thanks for having me, Bruce.
Oh, anytime. I always start the show off, so, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and where you're at today.
Sure. So I started way back when I was about 17. I started as a server, moved into the hotel industry right after that. I started at the front desk. I worked my way up. I did a little bit of front desk. I did a little bit of housekeeping supervising. I went back to front desk manager, went into accounting. I did some accounts payable and payroll. And then I moved into operations. I did operations management and project management. Then I moved into HR. And then I went into learning and development. And that's where I am now in learning and development. I left the hotel as a director of learning and development. And now I do it on my own. I go into hotels and just do trainings and workshops on mental wellness, emotional leadership, and bridging the gap between leaders and their team members.
So you know all about the hotel business and being crazy, because to do what we do, you got to be just a little crazy. You can't be completely sane.
No, you cannot be completely sane. I say you got to be a lot crazy to love it.
Now, you handle clients like all across the board, not just hotels.
Yes.
So what is the biggest difference between like the mental health of hotel employees and the mental health of some of like the other clients that you handle?
So what I would say is the biggest difference is because we're dealing with different, what should I say, like, should I call it tax brackets in the hotel? Like we have from the very lowest tax bracket all the way to the highest tax bracket. It makes it a whole variety sauce of things, as opposed to other clients that I go to that are usually in the same department and they're in the same, tax bracket, enduring the same problems, I should say.
Gotcha.
So the mental wellness in hotels can go from, people not being able to do things that other industries where I've worked could do easily. So I think that's the biggest difference. It's financial.
Nice. Now, keeping your mental health, of course, is very difficult in the industry because, you'll get these crazy standards that they would try to set on you. Like, they were like, yeah, a housekeeper could clean 30 rooms in one day in an 8-hour shift. And you try to give her that board, and she's like, you could take your board and stick it where the sun don't shine. Right? I'm not cleaning no 30 rooms in one day.
Definitely. So, and that can be frustrating for them, yes.
So what are like some of the key tips that you usually recommend, especially when it comes to managers and C-level executives, that try to keep everyone like on an even playing field and so they don't break and crack and just quit and walk out on you.
Yes. Oh, that's one of my favorite things to talk about as well. So the first thing that I always say is that we have to be able to communicate with our team members. We have to be able to have transparency and have clear expectations, right? And make sure that those expectations are realistic. So one thing that I tell shift managers mostly, if you can't go in and clean 30 rooms in 8-hour shift, what makes you think that somebody else can do it, right? Even if they've been doing it for 20 years. Or even if you can, how bad do you feel? How's your back? How are your legs, your feet after you've done that? Do you expect somebody to turn around and come back to work afterwards? So a little bit of empathy goes a long way, is the first tip that I always tell people. And then secondly, it's, make sure that what you're doing, what you're walking your talk, basically, right? Make sure that you're leading by example. You're showing them what you want them to do. You're teaching them what you want them to do, even though you think that they should have the experience already. Because a lot of times we have certain expectations of a person and they're not clear on what those expectations are. And
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the most frustrating things, especially for housekeepers, front desk, the people I like to call frontline employees, because they're not in our heads and we're just telling them what to do and they're not clear.
I agree 100%. A matter of fact, when I was a GM at this 400-room property, I used to have a challenge. And because, it'd just be a little bit too much trash inside the room, and the housekeeper would be like, this is a deep clean, and I can't do this in 30 minutes. So any housekeeper can challenge me at any time saying that this is a deep clean. And if you lose, if I clean this room myself in 30 minutes that you're saying is a deep clean, you give me all your tips for the day.
I love that one. I love it.
At least to say I didn't get too many challenges.
Yes, of course. But I think when you do things like that, you gain that respect. And then it's followed by that loyalty, right? Because, you're making it fun for them and you're making it to where, okay, he's showing us that he can do it as the same thing that we're doing. He's not showing us that he thinks he's, higher or better, but we're on the same level playing field. So that gains or garnishes loyalty with your team members. Absolutely.
Yes. Speaking of team members, it's been really tough out here, especially for management, with the labor shortage and you're competing against Walmart and Target. I know one hotel is actually in Orlando. They're paying their housekeepers $17 an hour.
I've heard.
Yeah. So, and we were just paying $10, $11, $12 an hour, and now a lot of people are increasing to 14 and 15 just to try to keep up. And they, with sign-in bonuses and everything else, they still can't get the staff that they need. And that creates a lot of pressure to get the results that you want to get, but you can't get them because you just don't have the labor. So what are some of the things that you recommend for the managers to try to keep their sanity and keep from having a mental breakdown?
So the first thing to go back a little bit on the labor shortage part is when you have your team members, let's try to keep them. Let's try to not, let them leave us. Let's try to compromise more and be a little bit flexible with them so that we can keep them on. But also on the management side, I know it's been really rough. It's been a struggle. What I suggest to most of my people is that you first of all have a plan, a daily plan, right? So you know what needs to be done, how you're going to do it, and what happens if you're missing people. Because that's the biggest thing I've heard, people are not showing up, we're getting ghosted, people come into work a couple of days and then they just stop coming in, which is a whole other issue. But if that does happen, have a game plan for that. Do you have task force members that you can reach out to? Does the hotel carry, what do you call them? The temp agencies that they can send on people. How can you make it to where you have at least a couple of people to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And then the other part of that is for you, take a breath, you know? Take a breath, because if it can't be done, it's not gonna be done. It can't be done. Like, you can't, there's no superpower that's gonna make it happen. So take deep breaths, and then once you're grounded and more out of the stress, you will find solutions to what needs to be done.
Absolutely. And worst case scenario, if they ghost you, just go to their front. Then you got the address. Go to the door, knock on the door. Why did you ghost me? Why? I want to know. Was it my hair? It had to be my hair.
No, I know you're too busy trying to take care of the hotel. But definitely try to, take deep breaths and, count down and, just make it in your mind that if you can only clean 10 rooms today, you can only clean 10 rooms today. That's basically it. I mean, there's nothing you do, there's no way you beat yourself up that's going to make you clean 20 rooms if 10 rooms are the only things that you can clean. So, but the temp agencies and things like that, I think they're good resources for the people that use them. So if it's a suggestion that you can give to your GM or to your property manager, always have that in their back pocket.
Absolutely. I especially when I'm doing my reviews for my shows, for hotel management do's and don'ts, we get like a notification, hey, you need to go check out this hotel. So we go a little scout it just to make sure it's a right fit for the show. You know? And I remember I went to this one hotel and I can tell what was going on. Like, they just got over COVID. They're opening back up. They don't have any employees, but still they're leaving all of their rooms open, knowing that they don't have the staff to support it. So the most logical thing to do, of course, would be to, close
lock out some rooms. Yep.
Knock out a floor, lock out a floor, block out floor 2, and let's just do what we can.
Yeah.
But because the pressure is so coming from up top, because these people want their money back. Like, hey, we just closed down 2-3 months. We need this money back. You better make it happen. Find a way. I don't care what you got to do. Let's just get it done. So it's really, really frustrating and annoying for them, and they're having a hard time.
They are struggling, and I say when they tell you, do what you got to do. Let's make it do what it do. That's when you tell them, okay, let's bring in a temp agency. Let's do this. Let's make it do what it do. Because obviously we can't do this on our own, so let's bring in some people that can do it, or that can help us. Absolutely.
So is there any routines that you go through on a daily basis to help keep you leveled and calm? Because all our guests are just so happy and never have any problems ever, and they never complain.
Man, at all, right? At all. We have the best guests ever. So I don't have any routines, but what I do have is steps that you can take if and when things go down the drain, right? So I don't come in saying that we should do morning routines or, today I'm going to be great. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But when the guest is in front of you yelling and screaming, I always say that you can just stop, stop, take a moment. There's two things there. The first thing is, a lot of times the person is venting and it really has nothing to do with you.
Absolutely.
They probably had an issue before and they're just wanting to let it out. So if you just be quiet and let them do their due, they'll stop eventually, most times. But on the flip side of that, while you are quiet and letting them do their due, I say count backwards from 10. Just 10, 9, 8. And it will ground you because you're blocking out what is being said. And you're just counting backwards and just taking your deep breaths. And you don't have to do it out loud so they don't hear you and get more, upset or offended. But in your mind, you're counting down and you're allowing them to do their venting. And when they're done, and you notice that they're done, you tell them what you can do for them. You don't tell them no, but you tell them what you can do. I understand that this is what you want. What I can do is, and you tell them what you can do.
That's right. Give them some options, because everybody wants options.
Yes.
Nobody wants to hear no, but everybody wants options.
Exactly.
So tell us about a time while you was in the industry that your mental health was challenged,
And what you did about this is going to be a good one.
So my mental health got challenged on a regular basis, not to say daily. But I remember one time I was dealing with some really drunk guests. They were at the bar in our hotel, and they were very drunk, and they were very entitled. And they called me to come and speak to these people. At the time I was in operations. I was an operations manager. So they called me. This was at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had just literally not even put my purse down, walked in to the property, and
They were drunk at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, they were drunk from last night.
I have two.
Right? So they were at the bar, and what was trying to, my porters were trying to clean the wood on the floor. And all they were asking for them to do is so the way that usually happens is they close one side of the bar. And so they have all the guests go on the other side while they clean this side and then move everybody to that side. And they were unhappy because they had moved to that side, and now they were asking them to move to the other side. So back and forth, they called me to come in. When I got there, and this is a little nasty, the guest was urinating in their chair on the floor just because they were pissed. So.
Literally.
I took a step back. I hadn't spoken to them at all. I just walked in and I saw it coming down. So I took the step back and I took a deep breath. And I put a smile on my face, and I went, and I'm like, sir, ma'am, all we need for you to do is to move across the room so that, we can clean this side of the floor, and now it's even messier because I said there's water on the floor under your chair, so we would like to clean it. And oh my gosh, they started yelling and screaming, and again, I took another step back, and I took a deep breath again. And I had to do a lot of self-talk. I'm not going to lie. Stephanie, this is your job. You need the job. You can't say anything. I had to do that. But all in my mind, I still had my smile on my face. And I'm like, I'm going to have to call the police if you guys don't move and so on and so forth. Finally, I ended up having to call the police. But the moral of that story is, that day was by 7 o'clock in the morning, I was so tired. I felt like I had gone through an entire day because I was back and forth with these people, and then I had to do the police report and all of that. But that's one of the times I learned that, having to deal with disgruntled guests, disgruntled customers can really take a toll on the body, on the mental. And so I took a step back and, I told my director that I needed 30 minutes. So I just went to my car and I just sat for 30 minutes in my car just to get my bearings back, right? But I also know that a lot of people don't have that luxury because I was just going back to my office. Some people have to go clean rooms. Some people had to, have to serve at the bar. And all of these people were part of this.
Wow.
And so it was special. But I did, keep my calm. And at the end, we had to call the cops. But it didn't get messy or there were no punches thrown or anything like that.
I know you out like, I know you are not peeing on the floor.
Right?
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Now that is a new one. Like I heard people peeing on the side of the building.
Oh no,
just
right there where he did not get up from the chair. So, and to me, the crazy part about that is okay, so you're being mean, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, to this team member who's trying to clean the floor, but then you're messing your whole self up. Your pants are wet now, and is it even worth it, right?
Sheesh. That
crazy.
Is crazy. Yeah, that's a new one. That's definitely a new one. Unbelievable. So listen, I want to know, how can everyone get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn at Stephanie Coradin. My website is also demboinc.com, and that's DEMBOINC.com. And you can DM me on all social. It's Dembo Inc. everywhere, Stephanie Coradin.
And can you explain how the coaching program works?
Yes,
you do a lot of coaching,
Yep. So the way my coaching works is you come in for 6 months with me. Either you're in hospitality, you're a manager or a director, executive, or above already, or you're working on getting into hospitality. We spend 6 months together. We do one-on-one. We also do some group coaching and training with other clients of mine. But the gist of it is that we learn leadership development, we learn emotional leadership, and what I call emotional leadership is making sure that you can lead yourself. You know what your leadership style is and how you lead, and it's surprising how many people get promoted into the ranks because they're really good at their job, but they never get to know what their leadership style is,
exactly.
How they lead, and how they want work to be done and all of that. So that's what we focus on. We focus on getting to know your leadership style and how you want your team members to approach you or delegate to your team members and all of that. So we work together for 6 months. We get together once a week. We have action plans, so you get homework and do all of that good stuff. And by the end of the training and coaching, you are ready to go lead with empathy and mental wellness.
I think that is extremely important. And this is why. It's because I've seen a lot of people, like you said, were good at their job, but they were trying to adapt somebody else's leadership style, and it was counter to their personality.
Yes.
So they were always in conflict, and it was creating like a lot of issues and problems at the location because they didn't realize what the problem was.
What they were doing. Yeah. And the other part of it too is, Bruce, that I've noticed, like, you'll have a rock star front desk agent, right? And then you will promote them to front desk supervisor because that's the next step, that's the next logical step. But then they don't get the training on how to lead other team members, and then they're set up for failure.
That's right.
They think they hate the job, they think they can't do it, or they want to get out of hospitality altogether, but it's just a matter of a little bit of tweaking and training so they know how to lead other people.
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, thank you for joining us for this wonderful episode. Make sure you go to that website. I always recommend coaching. I always recommend some type of influence outside of your job, because when you're in the mix, it's hard.
For you to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when you have someone that's been there, done that, and now they're outside looking in, they can see both sides of the story.
Oh yes. That's why counselors need counseling.
Yes. And therapists need therapists. Yep. But thank you for joining us for another episode, and you know what we are here to do. We are here to make your revenues rise up once a day, and keep you sane, keep you mentally sane. But if you need any support, anything like that, please make sure you call Stephanie.
Yes.
And we'll be talking to you soon.